Ladies and gentlemen, here we are for another show, a very interesting one for sure, because nobody has been discussing this very interesting topic concerning Donald J. Trump and the infamous ballroom, because aside from the ballroom, there is something else that is being built under a bunker with a special medical facility, and this medical facility is being built to extend the life of Donald J. Trump, who has just been in China to consult also on this matter his friend Xi Jinping. So please share this video, put like, remember that we are here thanks to your sponsorship, and today we have to thank Io Uzumaki and Daniel Estes. You can help us through GoFundMe. You can also help us through Cash App. You can find the Cash App handle together with my latest articles at leozagami.com. It's very important that we reach more subscribers, and also try to put the bell so you get the advice for the next video. Okay, now we have thanked our sponsors, and I want to also show, by the way, one of our sponsors who has sent me a pic of him reading one of my books. So here we have Io Uzumaki, who is not really Japanese as we expected, but here he is with a copy of volume 8 of my Confession, a book I strongly recommend you read. Okay, let's move forward. You know that at the end of this month we will have also the publication of my new book. It's gonna be soon disclosed what I will be talking about, but I tell you, it's gonna be groundbreaking. It's gonna be dealing with a topic that most people think they know everything about, but in this case they know nothing about. So prepare yourself, guys, and in the meantime, please get Rise and Fall of a Frankist Monster, which is a very important book, a very relevant book for the times we are living. We will be citing today also in connection to what we are discussing here, because let's not forget where this fixation with immortality comes from. It comes also from Silicon Valley. Yes, guys, from Silicon Valley.
The French playwright Eugène Ionesco once asked, "Why was I born if it wasn't forever?" But life, if anything, is impermanent. Flowers die, stars die, and you will die. So if you can't defeat death, what if you could postpone it, or at least postpone the diseases commonly associated with getting old? Many people, especially the ultra-wealthy in Silicon Valley, are investing money into companies trying to answer exactly those questions. Richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos, and billionaire PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel have both invested in the space. In 2013...
Yes, Peter Thiel. Ooh. Peter Thiel. One of the protagonists of the Epstein files. So here we are, people fixated with immortality. Last year we had even an episode where we discussed this hot mic moment, which you all know about, but maybe we should revisit it, because now that it's all coming out in relation to Donald J. Trump, who, did you notice how he was in China? He was not really, he was almost like, he was inevitably submissive, but also visibly older, and it's that visibly older that he wants to avoid. I want to remind you that when this war in Ukraine, the military operation started by Vladimir Putin in 2022 brought the war that was already there in the Donbass region for a long time, but brought it to the next level. We soon after had a lot of people discussing the health of Vladimir Putin. They were saying that Vladimir Putin's health was very bad, that he didn't have much to live, that his hand was shaking while he was talking with other world leaders. Putin is still here. And actually, he got even better after this visit, which actually is all about immortality and the quest for immortality.
On the sidelines of the high-profile meeting of several world leaders, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping were overheard talking about advances in the science of human lifespans. The brief exchange was caught during a live news video feed of Xi and Putin as they walked with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Their words were inaudible, but their translator, still on mic, can be heard detailing parts of their conversation. The meeting between the leaders took place as Xi presided over a parade to mark the 80th anniversary of World War II, with the video provided by the parade's media centre to international news agencies, including the Associated Press.
Okay, so we had this hot mic moment, and we also reminded of all those discussions that were made about the health of Vladimir Putin. These constant claims of Vladimir Putin's incapacity and death. Speculations regarding the health of Vladimir Putin have been a regular occurrence since his rise to power as president of Russia. But he's still there. He's still there, yes, guys, and he looks pretty good. What he was discussing with Xi Jinping was also the constant availability of organs. And I'm sure that in China, with billions of people, they don't have this problem. But Trump, guys, Trump wants to build the ballroom. Yeah, the ballroom is actually only a facade, because this is the year in which they want to reverse the natural occurrence of getting old. And announcing this earlier this year was none other than Dr. David Sinclair.
Tell you today is that next month we're going into human clinical trials to test for the first time in history whether we can reverse the aging process and cure diseases.
Reverse the aging process. Remember this. And cure diseases. But only, of course, if you are rich and famous.
We can tackle aging because we now believe we understand why we age. And it's not wear and tear. It's not that we just wear out like a car. Our bodies are not like cars. Our bodies are more like computers that can be programmed and reprogrammed and rebooted to be young again. We are like computers, not machines. One analogy, and hopefully you all remember what a compact disc is. We think aging is like scratches on a CD. The DNA is the music, so we get beautiful music when we're young, but when we get old, we cannot read the beautiful music. Our cells do not read the DNA correctly, so the cells, they become lost, they become confused, and our old cells do not make the right proteins and they get diseases. This, we believe, is aging. But what's amazing is we found that you can polish the CD, you can get rid of the scratches and rejuvenate cells so they're young again. And to put it another way, you can reinstall the software of the body so that it's young again. We can quite literally, in my lab, reverse the age of cells and of very complex organs and tissues, including the eye, the most complex, and the brain. We can reverse aging by 75% in 6 weeks. We actually were able to show that using this method, we could cure blindness in animals for the first time. We could cure blindness. And the world reported just last week that the US FDA regulatory body cleared the way for the first age reversal human trial. It's a big deal. The FDA is very supportive. And we will know this year, maybe in the next few months, if age reversal works.
Ooh, wow. Will age reversal work? Now, where was he? He was in a specific summit, a summit organized by an old acquaintance of ours, Klaus Schwab. Eats the Bugs, you remember Eats the Bugs? He was then cited by the organization he helped building, which is the World Economic Forum in Davos, but he still plays an eminent role, don't worry, in this other very important world government summit that takes place also each year. You see, Professor Klaus Schwab, chairman of the board of trustees of the World Economic Forum, emphasized the urgent need for global government cooperation in navigating the rapidly evolving intelligent age. Are we really in an intelligent age? Shaping future governments. This is really like they are preparing. They're preparing for techno-feudalism. They're also preparing for Trump to extend his presidency well beyond the second mandate. And he will also be doing this by placing under the White House a new medical, highly equipped we could call it hospital, but it's actually a life extension unit that he's creating.
Judge again halted construction on President Donald Trump's $400 million White House ballroom.
Okay, so the federal judge halted the ballroom, but still work is going on under the possible ballroom. Listen.
United States District Court Judge Richard J. Leon said the work needs express authorization from Congress. He called the administration's attempt to sidestep an earlier ruling incredible, if not disingenuous. The Trump administration argued stopping work leaves the executive mansion open and exposed, risking grave national security harms.
And we saw the charade with the attempted assassination of Donald Trump at the press gala, blah, blah, blah.
Leon clarified the injunction targets above-ground ballroom construction, not below-ground security facilities. Trump said the project includes bomb shelters and a state-of-the-art hospital and medical facilities.
State-of-the-art hospital and medical facility. We are talking about extending life here, guys. Trump is not stupid. He knows that's the next move of every billionaire.
Formed aging research company Calico. There's also BioAge, BioViva, the Longevity Fund, AgeX, the Methuselah Foundation, and many others.
Whenever you meet a fundamental human need, there's a market. And in this case, the market for age-related disease and aging is $1 trillion market.
Billionaire Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison has donated hundreds of millions of dollars to aging research. Bulletproof founder Dave Asprey has spent more than $1 million hacking his own biology.
I, right now, am expecting to live to about 180. I think that's very achievable, assuming a truck doesn't hit me.
People claiming to know what you ought to do to live longer is not anything new. Historically, as is still the case today, a lot of it just doesn't work.
This medicine is a fake. Yes, I'm a fake. Yakov's a fake. This is no good. I tell you, Mother, we're cheating all the people, don't you see?
From selling dietary supplements to stem cell injections, there is already a huge amount of money being made. Right now in San Francisco, for $8,000, you can get a liter of blood from 16 to 25-year-olds injected into your body. By one estimate, the global anti-aging market could surpass $271 billion by 2024. Goals vary too, from trying to add decades to your life to simply trying to extend the years your body remains healthy. So what's real? Because there really is new science worth being excited about, and what's just wishful thinking or straight up snake oil?
Surpassing all the medical specialists in all the hospitals of the globe. Who's going to be the first to buy a wonderful bottle of Vitazone?
If you look around for ways to live longer or look younger, you will be offered tons of solutions.
Yes, there is tons of solutions, especially in the digital age. If you go on TikTok, a bunch of claims. You have marketers that often to promote the enzyme, the enzyme that will make you, live longer. Serapeptase suddenly becomes this, no? Okay, guys, let's be serious. These people in Silicon Valley might be able to extend their lives, but they have billions. And still, following the natural course of life is what God wanted. So going against that is simply being against the will of God. Let's not forget that, because many things are said, but that's one of the most relevant here.
Activated charcoal is the general longevity leader in research and extending lives in animals.
I take about 150 supplements a day.
This could eliminate all disease. This perhaps is immortality.
You're bordering on sounding like snake oil.
No.
But some of the stuff's crazy. You swear that.
And some people, especially in places like Silicon Valley, are already taking sometimes elaborate steps to fight their own aging bodies.
It's our job to disrupt things. We literally go out and say, isn't there a better way to do this? So why wouldn't we disrupt medicine? Because frankly, medicine has failed us.
Part of it comes from the technology and the engineering sort of mindset that many of the people who have become wealthy in Silicon Valley have. They view human biology as something that can be engineered. And so I think that many of us who are biologists by training can look at some of the strategies that money's being thrown at and just say, that's not going to work.
The science of aging, gerontology, is not new. But fairly recent advances have changed what scientists suspect might eventually be possible.
Okay, that is, of course, a possibility. But let's go back into those TikTok influencers that heavily exaggerate, the benefits of serapeptase, for example. This miracle that, and then people fall for these miracles, which never really manifest anything serious. If you heard what Xi Jinping and Putin were talking, they were talking about actually using new organs, substituting constantly these organs that need, of course, to be harvested in some way, need to be picked up from somewhere. Now, we know that China is a really strange place, especially because a few years ago, a whole ship was found to contain iced penises from men from Africa who might have been more well endowed than the Chinese. And this shipment was going to Africa, from Africa to China because they wanted to transplant. Yeah. Imagine that.
Today, if the question you're asking is, what has science proven without a doubt will help you live longer? The answer will not surprise you.
If you wanted to ask me with certainty, what could I tell you can we do to help you live longer? It's the things that we more or less already know about. Don't eat too much, exercise regularly, don't smoke.
But scientists are working on much more radical but promising approaches to attack aging.
There's been a real breakthrough in longevity research in the past couple decades.
Well, I don't know about your longevity research, but what I think they are focusing on in places like China is something more sinister that Trump might be interested in. Uncovering evil, illegal organ harvesting in China, and the 2025 Stop Forced Organ Harvesting Act. So we're talking about, as of 2015, so 11 years ago now, organ donations will be sourced from voluntary donors. But then, of course, there are also the involuntary donors. Yet, scholars and experts, such as those who formed the China Tribunal, an international organization tasked with investigating transplant practices in China, find a different reality. They estimate from data, including hospital bed counts and medical personnel, that China conducts between 60,000 to upwards of 100,000 organ transplants annually. And so there is a gap in the statistics, and the answer lies in the fact that probably 50,000 Chinese prisoners undergo forced organ transplants. Yes, forced organ transplants. Not voluntary organ transplants, forced organ transplants. These are monstrosities. So we have the legitimate facade of the market that wants to aim for immortality, and then we have the more sinister and more realistic path, which is the one we had in the hot mic moment from Putin and Xi Jinping. But let's go back to the legitimate market.
In the 1990s, scientists at, for example, UCSF, discovered that you could change single genes in a tiny worm and get increases in lifespan. This opened up the possibility that evolution actually controls, in a sense, aging.
We're starting to learn a lot about the biological mechanisms of aging and the possibility of going beyond what we already know works to slow the aging process, or in some cases even functionally rejuvenate aged animals and hopefully aged people. We've got hypotheses now that have been tested in animal models but have not yet been demonstrated to have those effects in people.
For the most part, researchers are focused on increasing your health span, the length of time you're not just alive, but alive and healthy. Living longer might be a consequence, but they say it's not the primary goal.
Well, a lot of people think that scientists working on aging have as a goal to extend human lifespan or to make people immortal, to stop aging itself. I wouldn't say that that's not our goal, but our primary focus is improving the quality of life in our later years, so we're free of debilitating chronic diseases late in life.
If people live up to 110 plus years, if they had the functionality of a 20-year-old, that would be better for them, probably better for everyone around them.
So how do you do it? While their goals might be similar, scientists are approaching this in different ways.
Well, there's two schools of thought. Either it's repair or it's regulation. So if you take a young cell and an old cell that have the same DNA, then the only difference is they're regulated differently. And you can reprogram an old cell to be a young cell, and it's becoming more and more routine. That's one category of aging reversal. But other ones they're just things that flow around in your blood. Many of the essential components of your body drop with age. And if you just bump those up, then your body says, oh yeah, I'm young again. And we're not literally engineered, this is evolution, but mice die at 2 years and bowhead whales die at 200 years. And so clearly it's negotiable.
One prominent company working in the space is Unity Biotechnology. It's raised more than $300 million from investors like Jeff Bezos and Peter Thiel. Unity focuses its research on specific types of cells called senescent cells.
Peter Thiel, once again, we have this name that pops up, this important name that, of course, is part also of the Jeffrey Epstein saga. There is also another interesting connection with the Jeffrey Epstein saga and, of course, his will to embrace transhumanism and academic patronage. Gino Yu, this former associate professor of the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, served as an academic connector for the late Jeffrey Epstein. Newly unsealed Department of Justice files revealed that Yu acted as a facilitator and networker using his academic standing in the consciousness and transhumanist movements to introduce prominent academics and public figures to Jeffrey Epstein. Yu openly stated in emails that Epstein funded his research. Yu actively sought out Epstein for further funding for experimental fields, including telepathy and consciousness research. Yu connected Epstein with various intellectuals and researchers, including New York University professor Nouriel Roubini, philosopher of consciousness, Dr. Peter Fenwick, and figures associated with the media organization Closer to Truth, Disturbing Truths, because we are talking about developing special abilities, but also when it comes down to the transhumanist part of things, is always about extending their life, because that's ultimately what they want to do. You see, we are here at the moment, as stated by Alexander Dugin in a recent article, at a pivotal moment in history. I wrote, as you know, various books on the cyber Satan connection with the New World Order. Volume 6.66, Volume 7, Volume 9 are books I strongly recommend. Alexander Dugin, we all know, a philosopher, is being called Putin's Rasputin, has been very much on the ball regarding all the various developments. And he says now, I think that the problem of artificial intelligence is the main problem of our time. But these people like Peter Thiel, want to use artificial intelligence also to extend life.
Senescence is the accumulation of cells in our bodies as we age that no longer divide. And when cells do this, we call them senescent cells. Now, stopping dividing is not bad for you. The bad part is that when cells do this and pull this emergency brake, they begin spewing out all of these factors, these inflammatory factors and factors that destroy your tissue. And it's these factors that wind up driving a bunch of aging features and particular diseases. And if you could understand what those mechanisms were, if you could intervene in those mechanisms, you might be able to make it so we all got to live vibrant, more healthy lives.
In 2019, Unity published first of its kind data from a randomized double-blind
Unity with what? With whom? Well, I also suggest you get to read The Rise and Fall of Frankie's Monster, because, of course, the connection between Peter Thiel and the Thiel family from Frankfurt goes back hundreds of years with the Sabbatean Frankists, who are very much into the business of manifesting this technology.
SIBO-controlled trial on humans, specifically using anti-aging mechanisms. The study was about osteoarthritis of the knee. Patients got a shot of Unity's drug in their knee, which was meant to destroy senescent cells.
Our data in humans was the first. Then it was a small 48-patient study. This year, in 2020, we'll have 180 patients. It will be the first of its kind. My belief is that if those data are positive, that we took a feature of aging and sent it backwards.
And this is what they were doing already in 2020. In 2026, we saw what Sinclair has been saying. This is really the moment in which we are in front of a complete change of paradigm regarding reverse aging. It's no longer the stuff of science fiction. It's no longer the stuff of Dr. Frankenstein putting together pieces of something to produce something new, but it's in reality the same concept when it comes down to, I repeat, not wanting to accept your natural aging and the fact you have to die. I mean, the level is the same for everybody. Everybody is leveled by death. Let's say that death is the great leveler. Everything we have in common with each other as human beings. The poor, the rich, they all die. They all end up in a cemetery. But that's not what they want to do any longer. The poor dies, the rich wants to stay alive.
In almost 200 patients, that is when things would begin to change.
Unity is developing its treatment the traditional way, by going through the rigorous steps to get FDA approval.
I believe that what all of us in this field ought to be trying to do is to make medicines to benefit as many people as possible. The best way to do that is to use the classical development path.
The disadvantage to that is it takes a long time and it's expensive. The advantage is if you get FDA approval, you can be confident that there's probably a real benefit there, and we know what the risks are.
Venture capital firm the Longevity Fund, which invests specifically in aging-related companies, also invested in Unity.
People often ask us how big the longevity market is. We don't have any earthly clue. I mean, a couple $100 billion is a number for a single age-related indication. Imagine drugs that combated all of those.
Another company working on aging is AgeX in Alameda, California. It's in a much earlier stage than Unity, and its main focus is what it calls induced tissue regeneration.
Okay, before going back to this, Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, newly released Justice Department records and emails show that he was financing genetic testing and exploring experimental research into anti-aging and life extension years. And he even did it after his 2008 conviction. So he did it all the way to the end. We have projects like the Venus Project. Epstein paid a prominent Harvard-affiliated Massachusetts General Hospital for experimental genomic studies, including an attempt to harness his own genetic material for regenerative medicine. I will not be surprised at this point, and I know that this might sound shocking, that there is a clone of Jeffrey Epstein alive and kicking if the original one ever died. I know. People will say, ooh, talking about clones, you conspiracy theories. The technology is there, is available. Epstein, you can view it in the unsealed files, probably the last ones, because Trump has ordered the DOJ to abandon forever and ever any ulterior attempt in knowing more about the Jeffrey Epstein files. That's unfortunately the sad reality we are living today. That is the reality we are living today. Because he has betrayed the American people, now he wants to build a medical facility to extend his life and probably transform this whole country in a way that is going to shock everybody. Because if he wants to force himself into a third mandate, that will be the end of the Constitution of the United States of America, as we know it. However, the newly unsealed files of Jeffrey Epstein include extensive invoices for personal longevity studies that proposed using gene editing techniques on Epstein's own stem cells to explore reverse aging and extending his lifespan. You don't think that Trump is going to try to do that now? You don't think that Trump went to ask Xi Jinping about it, about how he and Putin are planning to extend their life? Then you are kidding yourself, because at one point, everybody was surprised when the journalists were blocked and Trump and Xi Jinping went on a very singular walk in the very appropriately called Temple of Heaven. There was high drama. This is a place, a very particular place. It's a very particular place which Donald J. Trump visited 2 days ago on May 14th, the Temple of Heaven. During his visit, he was showed how the rituals of the ancient Chinese emperors took place. And Trump, of course, was very impressed. But what happened at one point shocked everybody when the journalists were suddenly blocked by the security services.
This camera right here. He's ready to go. He will run. He will be in position. He will be by himself with one of you escorting.
Still less than what you guys have for cameras. Keep that in mind. The equal numbers is not equal. So our camera should be outside. There's plenty of time for him to get out there.
And he will run to the motorcade. He will be whatever you tell him to do, he will do. But we are missing history happening out there because you have us locked in this room.
You're not missing history because of any other reason that Trump was at that point finally able to be alone with Xi Jinping and discuss his quest for immortality.
We told you we wanted you this yesterday when we were here. I flagged it for you again an hour ago when we got here. And we told you we wanted this No, I wanted to go right where we were to catch the two presidents walking out of the Temple of Harvest. This guy right here. That are up. They can't catch where we just were. The team up there is telling me that you have way more cameras up there than we do.
No, we have 3% there. Plus
Other technicians to hold the light.
Plus your what?
Hold the light.
Plus your special press? No, press official. So our officials are up there too, and that's what you're including in our numbers.
No.
Just hold 1 second.
Everybody was suddenly blocked. Trump finally could discuss his quest for immortality. You see, techno-feudalism, what Silicon Valley is building, is about surrounding themselves with luxury, surrounding themselves with the possibility of extending their lives indefinitely, while we, the people, fight against each other in the next Hunger Games. This is the truth. This is the sad truth of what we are about to face. And the ignorance of a lot of people who still claim Trump wants to save America, Trump wants to make things better, Trump is fighting for us. Fighting for who? This is not going to be the golden age for us. It's going to be the golden age for them, the elite, the one that is in search of immortality, the same quest they had at the time of the Illuminati, the same quest that brought them to follow people like Count Alessandro di Cagliostro, who invented, a way, a devised a ritual, a 40-day ritual, which I've described in my books. But people still don't get it. They are confused. But most of all, they're pressured. Because crisis means pressure. And instead of thinking about watching Leo Zagami, you might be thinking on how to put together the money so you can fill your gas tank or pay your next electrical bill or simply go to the supermarket and afford some food.
We can go this way.
Okay.
Is the door closed? No. We're going. No. We're going. There's a group photo at the bottom of the stairs. We're going. Do you have a photo stairs?
Isn't that what's this yellow?
We need to take the photo at the bottom. We can't wait. We have to go.
You're down now.
They need to take the photo right there. No.
But we should be in advance.
Yeah, we should have already been.
Let's go to Ray Kurzweil, the guy who has predicted the singularity moment, echoing Pierre Teilhard de Chardin's Omega moment. Let's go to Ray Kurzweil, who also gives us specific dates in regards to the quest for immortality. Ray Kurzweil.
2032, people who are diligent with their health are going to reach what we call longevity escape velocity. This is when scientific breakthroughs will add more time to our remaining life expectancy than is going by. So we'll be going backwards in time as far as our health is concerned. As we merge with AI in this way, we will become a hybrid species. We'll still be human, but will be enhanced by AI. We'll soon have the ability to rapidly test billions of possible molecular sequences to find cures, ultimately for all diseases. So overcoming the limitations of biology is not a new story. It's for why I want to live indefinitely, because I want to see my loved ones, and I want to continue working on my creative projects. I don't see a time when I would not feel that way.
Okay, so by around 2032, we will have this possibility to extend our lives beyond the natural course of our life.
Short term, it's working on a topical hydrogel that would facilitate healing and minimize scarring. In the long term, it hopes to apply the same basic ideas to age-related disease.
Early in life, in the very earliest stages of life, if you have a heart attack, your body just grows the heart back. And so we believe if we turn the clock of cells back far enough in time, we can unlock this regenerative potential and allow the aged human body to repair itself. The basic science is already on the lab bench here. And we plan to do this with FDA, hand in hand. We want to work out delivery technologies to get these therapeutics into the body. We need to test them in animals, and we hope in a few years we'll be able to begin human clinical trials.
But even if a company operates with scientific rigor, there are important ethical and societal questions that need to be considered. Even if we can one day make people live longer, should we?
Yeah, well, that is the question, but you think that people like Trump, Xi Jinping, Putin will face this ethical and moral question and say, oh no, I'm gonna pass on this one? No, that's not the case. That's not the case. I repeat, when Trump talks about this ballroom, he's talking about his own future. His own future.
Is building a big complex under the ballroom, which has come out recently because of a stupid lawsuit that was filed. But the military is building.
So there is a bunker under there. This bunker will have also medical facility. That medical facility will help an aging Donald J. Trump.
Building a massive complex under the ballroom. It's something we just wanted to pay tribute to the White House. And so that fits in beautifully.
So here we have Trump obsessed with his ballroom, but in reality obsessed with what is being built under the ballroom. We know that his health is not really in the best conditions. So we know that he constantly eats fast food. He doesn't really take care of himself as he should. He will be soon facing another health inspection.
About President Donald Trump and medical checkups. Trump is scheduled to see doctors for a medical and dental checkup later in May in what the White House describes as an annual physical and regular preventive care.
Now that's quite interesting, the dentist part of it all, because in reality, if there is one facility he already has in the White House, is his own personal dentist. We will love, everybody, I think, would love to have a personal dentist. So why does he have to go elsewhere for that? Because there is something else which is brewing.
Trump turns 80 in June and is the oldest person elected US president. Many people have scrutinized Trump's health, so much so that Trump said he regretted getting imaging of his heart and abdomen last year because it raised questions about his health. Trump recently said he felt the same as he did 50 years ago but didn't know why, adding, quote, "It's not because I eat the best foods." He has also joked about his exercise regimen.
I work out so much, like about 1 minute a day max.
But Trump has had mild swelling in his lower legs, which was found to be chronic venous insufficiency, a condition common in older adults that causes blood to pool in the veins. Trump also had bruising on the back of his hands.
This is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular prevention regimen.
Ooh, sure.
Living more years, but not necessarily more healthier years,
what does that mean for the cost of healthcare? What does that mean for quality of life? How do we ensure that those years gained are years that people actually would like to be alive and are enjoying being alive and fully engaging in their existence?
When I was in the prime of my working days, there were 5 workers to every retired person. When the baby boomers retire, there will be 3 workers to every retired person. If we live to 150, we will go down to almost parity, where there will be 1 worker for each retired person. Over 85 is the single largest growing group of Americans. And that is going to put a burden on our health system. It's going to put a burden on our Social Security system. Older people are wealthier than younger people, and so they have disproportionate power in the marketplace. And all of that skews everything towards the elderly.
The biggest concern for many is that anti-aging interventions are being developed as a tool for the wealthy. Investment in such research by the ultra-rich can be seen as trying to buy the one thing money hasn't yet been able to buy them: immortality.
This utopian dream of living forever. And I do believe that the anti-aging proponents are not just interested in adding another 10 or 20 years to their lifespan. They're really looking for immortality. Immortality has been the dream of human beings, and it's been a storied part of our mythology since the earliest times. But it is a narcissistic dream, because I have yet to hear a single social good that will bring.
But again, most companies in this space say they're not actually trying to increase lifespans. They say they're trying to increase the number of years people remain healthy.
Is Unity trying to help people live forever? First, we don't know how. And even if there were a way, that's not the business we're in. Do I think that the reason that we live and operate near Silicon Valley has something to do with this idea that the Silicon Valley powerful want to live a long time? That is an easy and sort of entertaining idea. I've never gotten an email from one of those people asking, actually, that's not true. I did get one, but he's not an investor. Okay.
Increasing a person's health span is perhaps less ethically consequential than significantly increasing their lifespan, but there are still important questions to be asked.
You can tell based on what socioeconomic resources a person has, what education level they have, how much money they make in their job, whether they have health insurance or not, whether that's state-funded health insurance versus private health insurance. All of those things are things that also currently affect both our health span and our lifespan. So there are many modifiable factors of human existence right now that are nowhere near as sexy as, life-extending biomechanics or medical treatments. But those should all be on the table if we're truly talking about improving the health span of humanity.
Yes, these rich and powerful people who want to turn aging into a problem that needs and it's finally solved. Yes, they want it solved. They dream of a world where age can be outwitted, worn out bodies replaced with machine parts, or in the case of Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, simply get some organs from prisoners or, unwilling parties. Who cares? That's the objective is the important thing, preserving the life of these rich and powerful people, even when their worn out bodies are worn out, they can fix it. It sounds like science fiction, but enormous money, as you have seen, stands behind life extension. It's a serious business. There is a problem. Biology will not cooperate easily with their endeavors, but Johnson proudly shows the crowd of journalists to visit him, and I'm talking about one guy here. They have made an article talking about Brian Johnson, this 40-year-old multimillionaire from California who has different plans, extensive plans to achieve certain things and to use the body always as a laboratory, no? And he thinks that through intravenous injections of this and that, now he's in a better place than he could have been without all these, no? These attempts to hack into immortality, into the extension of one's life. But is it really meaningful to extend one life? I mean,
concerns aren't necessarily reasons to not pursue anti-aging therapies, but they do highlight how important it is to have conversations about ethics while you do so. The United States is a country whose poorest men die 15 years before its richest. It's 10 years for women. The richest Americans lived on average 3 years longer in 2014 than they did in 2001, and the poorest Americans didn't gain any years. Lifespan is about much more than what science knows is possible. It doesn't mean these companies shouldn't exist, but it does mean inequality around when you die can't be solved with pharmaceuticals alone. There are scientists at universities who are every day understanding more and more about how aging works. There are companies developing real, science-based drugs and techniques that may one day prove to successfully help humans combat aging. These companies are confident, perhaps, but also careful, and they're not yet selling anything.
There's a highly regulated pathway one has to go through to make it to market as a drug, and longevity companies are not exempt from that.
But there are loopholes for things like supplements that are considered natural, or procedures that involve taking stem cells from your own body and injecting them back into you that allow companies to sell products without FDA approval. Products exploiting these loopholes far outnumber companies carefully developing aging-related drugs.
The basic science is so exciting, it's inevitable the public will hear about it, and it's inevitable that the charlatan will try to offer up, fake versions.
and so there is, of course, the inevitable charlatans, but there is also something else. There is something else, meaning this is a subject which at the moment is captivating the interest of people. This is a recent article from April 16 on CNN. Longevity isn't just about the latest gadget. The actual keys to a longer life are in plain sight, says this article. And the search for immortality is a tale as old as time, but it certainly has taken on a new look. So here we have this new look. And of course, there is a 6-part CNN series called Kara Wisher Wants to Live Forever. But we reply with that great song, Who Wants to Live Forever? Because like Freddie Mercury was singing, who really wants to live forever? That became the soundtrack of a movie, Highlander, a movie with a great Sean Connery. Not bad, Christopher Lambert, who were immortals, who were going through the ages, but they kept on being immortals. And that can also create some problems. So here today we have brought you this very interesting topic. As a whole market is still fascinated with longevity. This is an article from the California New York Post, which is also tackling the same subject. The 40 million longevity fund that's looking to make death optional is an article by Karen Fisher published on April 20. And here it says that in recent years, funding the secret to longer life has transitioned from mythical fiction to actual science with the help of the likes of Peter Thiel, Jeff Bezos, and Sam Altman. These ultra-wealthy court and participate in making death optional. And that is what Trump wants to do by building his own special experiment under the White House, his own medical facility to make death optional. We hope that instead Trump will make death great again by failing in his quest. Thank you so much for joining us today. Yo Uzumaki, thank you. Thank you, Daniel Estes. Thanks to those people who also purchased my books. This week there's been also a lot of talk about the CIA going to getting all these MK Ultra documents from Tulsi Gabbard. Apparently it happened last year though, but you can know really what you want about MK Ultra simply by reading volume 11 of my Confessions. And we have also another book which I strongly advise you to get, which is volume 9 of my Confession, 7 Steps in the Secrets of the New World Disorder. Thank you so much. God bless you all. If you want this show to continue, also with an extra show weekly, we absolutely need you to purchase the books or to sponsor us like Hiro Uzumaki and Daniel Estes did today. You can do it anonymously, or you can do it, of course, with your name mentioned during the show. You can write a note with your donation and let us know. Take care. God bless you all. Have a great week wherever you are. We are here discussing what other people don't discuss.
Illuminati want my mind, soul, and my body. See those societies.
Little anecdote, which is, oh, my friend, this is so terrible.
Whether we can reverse the aging process and cure diseases. We can tackle aging because we now believe we understand why we age. And it's not wear and tear, it's not that we just wear out like a car. Our bodies are not like cars. Our bodies are more like computers that can be programmed and reprogrammed and rebooted to be young again. We are like computers, not machines. One analogy, and hopefully you all remember what a compact disc is. We think aging is like scratches on a CD.